got a guest today. His name is PJ. Do a lot of work with him with regards to building. I've done some work with him on green homes, and I've established a long-term relationship with PJ through the HVAC work that he has done. So he's an expert with regards to geothermal systems and ductwork and implementing HVAC heating and cooling systems for various types of homes. PJ and I have become friends for a good number of years now, and he's also been a former Army medic. PJ is white, and PJ is a gentleman that I've talked to him about nation building, and I asked him what his views are, and we talked about different perspectives. And I found that PJ was very enlightening from his perspective. So, PJ, I want to welcome you. How are you doing today, brother?
All right. How are you doing?
I'm okay, man. PJ, go ahead and tell the listeners a little bit about your background and how you got involved in the Army and stuff like that.
Born in Los Angeles, lived there all through my childhood and everything. Joined the Army halfway through my senior year in high school. Left 2 weeks out of high school and traveled all over the world and all over the country. 3 different duty stations, multiple deployments, and that's about it with that.
I got you. Then eventually you married and you worked your way to St. Louis.
Yes, sir. Married a St. Louis girl.
I got you. So, PJ, let me ask you this. Your experience with dealing with African Americans in the military, and in particular, I mean, how did you find them, and what did you learn from some of those guys that were in the medics?
Pretty much throughout my whole career, I've had was mentored by mostly African American soldiers. 2 of my greatest platoon sergeants, Sergeant First Class Golden and Sergeant First Class Thomas, were very, very helpful throughout my career. I had a number of other NCOs that I grew up under. Sergeant China, he was from New York City. Sergeant Woolard was from Georgia. Sergeant Lewis from Houston, Texas, and all these men were very key in helping me really become a man, helping me to learn the ins and outs of whatever it is that I need to learn, help me to develop my medical skills, my survival skills, and just altogether showed me, how to survive.
So you found that with you feel that they were very competent professionals, individuals that, of course, you went into combat with, that you would go anywhere with.
Oh, yes, very much so.
So let me ask you this. You eventually went to Iraq. Tell us a little bit about your Iraq. When did you get there for Iraq?
I got there right at the tail end of the initial surge, the initial push. We got there. We were the unit that was, we were tasked with settling the northern part of Baghdad, the area around Sadr City, the area where the UN building was, Little Pakistan, and a couple of other little spots through there. We did a brief stint up towards Fallujah. Just a whole bunch of little things that we went through all through that area out there in the beginning of the initial conflict.
And in your experience, the African American contribution, and of course, when we're talking about all the soldiers, because as a former Marine, I mean, guys are soldiers, we're Marines. I mean, we're all in it together. We all know that, PJ. When you're definitely in a combat situation, there are no atheists and there are no racists when you're in a foxhole. That really goes out. Yeah,
like they always say, there's no color but green when you're out there.
That's for sure. That's the reality. Unfortunately, some people just can't understand that. But in combat situations in which you're taking enemy fire, they're trying to shoot everybody. But in any event, how did those guys that are over there, you spoke very highly of those mentors that you had, and how did they perform for another nation, a group of individuals? The Iraqi people are a country of 20 million people, and 4 million people. How much of their heart did they give towards the Iraqi people, along with yourself? What did you give to them in order to help protect their sovereignty, their self-rule?
We gave everything. All of us, without a second thought, were willing to step up, give our lives if need be, to help the people that didn't know us from anything. We could have sacrificed our lives, and the people we were there to save wouldn't have known who we were, wouldn't have been able to pick us out of a lineup.
You mentioned before some of the African-American casualties that you had saw, and the reason why we're telling the people on the show now is we want people to understand what the contributions that are being made today. But when we talk about nation building and why nation building is so important, when we make sacrifices for other people, and that's why we're letting PJ give his perspective. Tell us about some of the African-American casualties that you knew of or that you saw.
Well, there was two that really came to mind. One, and their names escape me now. One was a soldier who sustained some shrapnel wounds from an IED, and another was a soldier who was hit with a downed electrical line that whipped him in the side of the head and caused a pretty bad concussion, some pretty bad swelling and stuff in his head. He got a trip to Germany out of that. Pretty much, it was like that throughout. The physical injuries are something that, through time will heal, but there's a lot of the mental injuries, the after effects that are going to be carried with these men throughout the rest of their life. There's no coming back from that kind of thing. Once you've had to do things, for someone that's not necessarily your family, you still have to carry those thoughts of what you've done or what you've witnessed as far as the mayhem or the carnage that you've witnessed due to, somebody else's war is not opposed to it being anything that is directly related to your inner circle. You know what I'm saying? It's not something that's going to affect your cousin or your aunt or anything like that in the long run.
Yes, I absolutely understand that. What was, of course, along with your contribution, what lives did you save? What other the African Americans that were with your unit in the medics, how many lives do you think that they affected in a positive way? What did they do to help people? What kind of injuries did you guys help people with along in your combat operations over there?
We ran the gamut. It was anything from the giving out ointments for things such as burns or minor cuts, even some antibiotic ointments for things like eczema and stuff like that. It could have been things that were a lot more serious, where there were people with missing limbs, serious bleeds, shrapnel injuries to civilians. There were, of course, the gunshot wounds, major burns. We ran the gamut. We treated anyone from, I know the youngest I treated was a 4-month-old child, all the way up to, people up in their 60s.
And some of these guys, these other brothers that were there, these other African-American soldiers were there. They were there assisting you and leading in these efforts to help protect these people and to try to make them well.
Yes. Yes, very much so.
So the relationships that you develop with those, of course, as when you're in that type of tight situation, I mean, it's hard to forget their faces, and it's a very, very tight-knit group. When you look at them as African Americans now, and you look at what they have to go through when they come back here to America, if they get out of the Army and they got to go to a job, and you've been out here in St. Louis, you've been from L.A., do you think, from your perspective, can you understand why that it would be noble for us to be able to go back to the motherland and be able to create this independent African-American nation, knowing what you know now with some of those brothers that you were over there with?